How's it going, guys? So today we're going to talk about how using data is going to assist you with improving your health. So I'm a nerd. If there's any nerds out there, stay tuned. This is for the non-nerds too. I think this will be valuable for you. My name is Ryan Sanders. I'm the owner and lead coach for Project Fresh. And for over the last 13 years, there's a data point for you. I've helped people take control of their health, optimize performance, and build sustainable habits that stick. They stay with you, they go the distance, they don't fall off after 30 days. So for me, I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist as well as a certified sports and nutrition coach. And I've had the opportunity to work with everyone from athletes to busy professionals to high performance based individuals, coaching them through the science, but also the real world challenges that come with fitness and nutrition. So here I share the stories, the lessons, and the systems that make long-term wellness possible. One thing that a client shared with me before going into the holidays last year, I think I mentioned it around that time, was that Ryan, this was his feedback, Ryan, you demystify and make it seem easy, tangible. You didn't use those words exactly, but you make it tangible and you demystify the process of getting in shape, something everybody can do. And that is something that everybody can do. I was sharing with the client over the weekend. If you took me back 20 years in my life, I would be a beginner. I'd be starting off. I'd be learning things. This was just in high school at this point, where I was learning how to lift. I didn't have anybody teach me how to lift. I watched everybody else in the gym that was in there for football or another sport or just for their own personal goals in high school. And so I just emulated what they did. Didn't really have anybody showing me how to do form or technique. Probably made all kinds of mistakes. I don't really remember all of them, but long story short, that was it. And then once I got out of college, fast forward another shoot, that was probably like 6 years after that. I was in a position where I still didn't actually know how to exercise and eat in a way that would sustain me for the season and for life. So I spent the next 3 years learning how to do that and had some great success. I actually ended up losing about 32, 33 pounds over the course of, I started in September, and by April, I was down those 33 pounds. So about 6, 7 months, lost it. I was the lightest I've been since I was a kid. I was so fat as a kid, I couldn't look down and even see my toes. That's how much fat I had in my midsection. And so that was the first time that I was like 188 pounds since I was a kid. And I was probably back to, I want to say third, fourth, fifth grade, somewhere in there. So wasn't this the same height either. So you can imagine how chunky and big you'd be as a kid, around 5 foot, maybe 10, maybe somewhere in there. But anyway, just a little bit about me. And just a quick reminder, if this is the first time you guys are joining us, don't know anything about what this is, just a quick reminder. Why are we talking about data? Well, one reason, I'm a nerd. I'm actually previously an engineer. So numbers and math and all that stuff is something I spent a lot of time learning and doing and getting better at. But more importantly, if you don't know what is happening, you have no way of measuring it. And this is my first point. If you don't measure what you do, how can you look back and see what you did? And I think that's really a big thing. So data is a way to show us what we did so that we can make decisions on what we do moving forward. And that's really a big one. That is really a big one. So how can you make decisions that are going to propel you forward if you don't actually have something to look back at? I mean, this is really simple too. Most jobs, especially if you're in operations, you're going to have some kind of measurement. I mean, even if we could even keep this super simple and say, how does your employer know what to pay you if you don't clock in and clock out? That's data, right? So it doesn't have to be spreadsheets and crazy numbers or anything like that. It's just, what did I do last week? What's the one thing that I did last week that I did really well? I walked 30 minutes 4 times. So I had 120 minutes of walking last week. My goal is 150 minutes. So I'm 80% of the way there. Sweet. Now, can you close that gap? This week, let's try to add a little bit more. Like, you're only going to be able to do those same 4 days. Can you sneak in another 3 to 5 minutes on those walks, just a little bit more, right? That's not a big change. And now you just bumped yourself up a little bit more closer in the week. It's like, all right, this whole month, and I'm going to be busy. I got presentations, kids' birthdays, birthday parties. I actually have some business travel for the next 4 weeks. So this week is going to be packed. It's going to be slammed, right? Okay, cool. Try to stick with those 30-minute walks. Plan it into your schedule. Hold on to it. And then after you get through this month, when you come back to more of a regular month, then you can go back to progressing. So now you know you've got the capacity. You're going to try to match while you're busy. And then you come back to trying to progress after that busy season. And that's what it looks like. It's simple. But how do you know how to do that if you don't know what you did? Number one. Number two, which I think is really important too, that's having a conversation with a different client. On Saturday, we were talking about data. She made a really good point. Data, when you look at it, initially it's just numbers, but she made a point that it tells a story, right? It gives us more context to what was going on in that particular season. So if I look back to when I was 30 and I was looking at what I did, I've got a picture of me actually holding up. I literally just drew it out really quick on a piece of paper. I spent, I want to say 13 weeks leading up to my 30th birthday. I wanted to be pursuing my spirituality, my physicality, my mentality, my relationship with my wife. I just wanted to enter my 30s on a good note, like really working on progressing, growing up, if you will, like wrapping up my 20s, well and best I could. And so visually, I remember this picture of me holding this before and after, where I started in my weight and where I ended up. I got the photos, I got everything, my scale measurements, and I was feeling great, right? Toned, sharp midsection, almost six pack. The rib cage and the obliques are starting to show. Feeling great for my 30th, right? Had all the cheat meals set up that day, waking up for the birthday. It was right during COVID too, 2020. So didn't have anywhere to go or anything to do. The missus set up for me a Zoom call, which was really cool. And then cooked a few things. She actually did a chocolate cake, my favorite. So it was a fun day. But I had all the data from when I started 13 weeks back all the way through to show what I did, what adjustments I needed to do. And it also told the story that if I do these things on a regular basis, and what are those things? Walking, strength training, getting in my protein. Those are the three things that I always start with clients. Excuse me. You're going to see some changes. It took a quarter, but it was well worth it, right? Felt great. Enjoyed my birthday. A memorable one. I think it's actually really the only birthday I remember in my 30s so far is turning 30 that I can think of right off the top of my head. So that's 2 points. One, you don't know where you've been if you don't track it, right? So measure it so you have information to make decisions and adjustments. Number two, it tells a story. It gives you a sense of what's been going on because, if you think back 2 weeks ago, do you remember what you ate? If I asked you right now, how much protein did you have 2 weeks ago? Your first question might be like, how would I even track it? So there you go. If you don't even know how to track it, you don't even know what you had, right? But if that translates to what today's going to be like, then knowing what happened 2 weeks ago is going to be more important, right? And then number three, I think this is what really kind of brings it home is, like I said, data doesn't have to be heavy duty. And if I'm this super technical pre-engineer, my previous life was engineering, why would I throw something at you that would be complex to begin with? That wouldn't make sense. We don't want to complicate it. We don't want to have any barriers to you doing this so that you have the success, right? So you can look at the data. So start really simple. That's number three. Be as simple and granular as possible. When I was going through my initial phases of business coaching and learning how to have better time management, I went through a Stephen Covey course. If you guys have ever done that, it's extraordinary something on time management. I forget what it was. Extraordinary attributes, or I forget the exact title of Stephen Covey's course, but along the lines of really having good time management. So I asked the instructor, if I have a calendar that's written and a calendar that's phone, how do I navigate? Like, which one do I make my primary? Because I use both. She's like, use one. Use the paper or use your phone, but not both. And so for a long time, I was on paper. And more recently, probably in the last 4 years or so, I've been 100% on my phone or digital. And so in the same sense, how do you track your data? Do you do it on paper or do you do it on your phone? Right? And for me, I'm actually, no, I lied. I'm probably about, schedule wise, I'm 100% on my phone. So I didn't lie about that. But some of the key data that I'm doing for my own fitness and my own business building right now is actually on a big calendar. I'll see if I can show you guys this. Background and effects. Turn this off. So I don't know if you guys can see me. Welcome to the office. There's that big gold calendar right there on my wall. So I have on here 4 different categories pertaining to different areas that are important for my business. And I'm just checking off the marks to see where I'm at for those days. What did I do in February? I just started it towards the beginning of February, roughly. Oh, here it is. Let's go ahead and go back to the cool. Go back to, it's actually one of my projects that I did in engineering prior to building people. I was building buildings. This Pentagon-shaped glass here is one of my old projects. Looks out into the Front Range, to the Rockies here in the Denver metro. It's very beautiful. They call it the Great Room. I need to go hang out there more. It's a really cool room. Good place to chill. People watch. My wife and I usually go there for the holidays to see how they've decorated. They put a nice, beautiful Christmas tree there. But I can look at this calendar, which is a full annual calendar. I shared it with, I think I shared it with my wife and someone else. And they're like, that would give me anxiety if I had to look at the year all the time. And for me, like, I'm tired of having the same years. I want to change things up. So if I look at it from a perspective of an annual, but also from a perspective of a daily, a weekly, a monthly, that really helps me like continue to keep the day-to-day work in mind, but also keep the bigger picture in mind, right? And so I have specific goals that I want to hit by the end of June. So that's on the calendar, or it needs to go on the calendar, I think. Yeah, I need to write it. But that is my simple way of keeping everything in front of me. So when I walk in here, that big old calendar on the wall is really hard to miss. You saw how big it was. It's like 3 feet by 4 feet roughly. So that's really hard to miss. So however you guys decide to do it, and go from there. So it's Ryan Sanders with Project Fresh. Wanted to share how using data improves your health. And for example, for my green that's on there, working out, doing a date with my wife, cooking, Bible study, 5,500 steps are some of my green things. So it's a little bit of relationship and fitness put together. I've got tick marks for how many times I did all those things in February. So now I know what my number is. I started a little bit late. February is a short month. So March will be my first full month. And then I can use March as my baseline to be consistent or aim to beat from April all the way through December. That's fantastic. Rinse, wash, repeat. I've got goals for business. What did I do in February? Big fat 0. So now I know what I need to do for March. Got a business trip next weekend to help me with that. I've got some people that I meet with on Mondays later tonight to say, hey, I tracked my results, big fat 0. No wonder business is going south, right? Less and less purchases, which is going to mean a smaller paycheck. So there's activities that need to be done there, right? And so that's the goal. Simple, simple, simple. Keep it in front of you. Don't make it complicated. Paper or digital, and keep it moving. All right, guys. And then as you know what you do, you make adjustments and you go from there. We've talked about that in different videos. What I'm going to have you guys do is drop in the chat, how are you going to use data now that you've heard all this over the next week? Drop it in the chat what your focus is going to be. Is it one of the points I gave, or did it spark some attention? Did it give you some different ideas? And drop that in the chat for this week. We'd love to hear what it is you're doing. And more importantly, if you've got, hey, how do I address this? How do I do this? Let us know. We'll get back to you. We'd love to assist you. All right, this is Ryan with Project Fresh, and we will see you guys on our next Monday Lunch Live. Same time, same place, 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 11 on the West Coast, and 2 on the East Coast. So for anybody who's checking in with us from Europe, just about to go to bed, thanks for tuning in. If you're in Australia, you got 4 hours back roughly tomorrow. So we're about 8, 9 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock your time. Appreciate you tuning in there. And those first couple time zones. Tomorrow, so this is technically Tuesday. Tuesday breakfast live for you. I appreciate you guys too tuning in on the Tuesday breakfast live. All right, they're in Far East Asia and New Zealand and Australia.